Well, to the burning issue, the impasse between the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria and Dangote Refinery over unresolved labor issues. The Minister of Finance and Labor says reconciliation talks between both parties will reconvene today at 2 p.m. The last meeting, which began around 4 p.m. on Monday, stretched for nearly 9 hours into early Tuesday, but ended without a resolution. At the heart of the dispute is the unionization of workers at the refinery, which was followed by the controversial sack of over 800 engineers. PENGASSAN responded with industrial action, demanding the reinstatement of affected workers. Dangote Refinery, however, described the move as a part of a broader restructuring exercise. Sources say the talks broke down after one party allegedly refused to sign the agreed memorandum.
So we are reconvening later today in the afternoon to continue with the meeting. There are other issues now, issue of unionization. These are two basic issues that we have been discussing.
We need to limit the damage to the economy of this action. We need to wrap it up, we need to resolve it, and we need to have workers going back to work. We need to have the gas flowing, we need to have crude flowing as inputs into production, which is where the economy is arrived at right now, where we are able to add value, where we are able to grow the economy, and we don't want that momentum to be broken. And that's why you see us here for 9 hours trying to resolve just one knotty issue, as the Honourable Minister for Labour and Employment has said.
Some of these people are trainees, and you said they have committed sabotage. So if they go home like that, there is no other company they will get job to do again in Nigeria because they have seen them as saboteurs. So these are careers that will be damaged if proper remedy is not put in place. So that is why for us, our position has been very clear. You have to reinstate these people.
Well, my guest is former president of PENGASSAN and also former president of the Trade Union Congress, Mr. Peter Esele. He's live in the studio for us to have this conversation. Good afternoon, Mr. Esele. It's really good to have you for this conversation.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
I think we should start with the intervention of government. You've seen government running in so quickly to address the issues because when PENGASSAN sneezes, we know what that means. Cutting gas supply, cutting crude oil supply, that's the live wire of Nigeria's economy. So how does that come to you first with the intervention of government?
I think the intervention of government is a welcome development. But again, I also know that basically a lot of Nigerians, I go through the social media space and I also follow through on a lot of media pronouncement. And I also feel there should be need for us to also educate Nigerians so that Nigerians should also be aware of why PENGASSAN is doing what they're doing. And also, I know I saw the coordinating minister for economy and I also listened to what he was saying. Now, one of the things that Nigerians are angry about is that the NNPC refinery has not been working. And here we have a refinery that is working. It's as if PENGASSAN want to cripple the refinery. And I want to make it clear that PENGASSAN is not out there to cripple Dangote's refinery. And if PENGASSAN want to do so, I will also come out openly and also go up in arms against PENGASSAN for wanting to cripple that refinery. For anybody to think PENGASSAN want to do that, that is far from the truth. But we also need to look at management should not be allowed to decide who should belong to the union. That is the biggest problem here. Now, if 800 Nigerians working for Dangote refineries have made up their mind to be part of PENGASSAN, they should be allowed to be part of PENGASSAN. Dangote refinery must be allowed to operate, and also Nigerians working for Dangote refineries must also be allowed the right to unionize. So if we go by the law, there is no need for any of this. It is our lack of respect for law that is why we are where we are. The refineries can run. I am so happy for the refineries. I'm so happy for what Dangote have done. And I'm also happy that Dangote refinery is guaranteeing the country energy security. But Dangote's refinery too must also allow Nigerians working for him to also have what I call job security. And one thing that PENGASSAN brings is that PENGASSAN brings a document that is between the management and the workers to define their relationship. That is what PENGASSAN is after. Yes.
This has gone far, because when you look at the decision now to cut supply, which would definitely, like I said earlier, would impact it. Let's look at where this started from. It started from the issue of movement, where NUPENG came in. That was the first issue. Talking about the trucks, the gas trucks, CNG trucks that would be deployed. That was still on the pipeline. Arguments and all of that were still on that. Then this came on, the issue of sabotage now on the side of PENGASSAN workers. So looking at the entire operations of that refinery, some have argued that the labor unions are trying to work against Dangote monopolizing the entire industry.
Not at all. I can be very categorical about that. What PENGASSAN is after is better welfare package for workers. You know, sometimes people come up, and I've watched some other, not on TVC, where people talk about it's as if PENGASSAN is after check-off dues. That is far from the truth. What PENGASSAN is after is that better welfare for the workers. And the workers themselves, PENGASSAN will not come to your company and say, you have to be part of us. No. You have to apply to be a member of PENGASSAN. And when you applied, PENGASSAN will now inform the management that, oh, Mr. Tolu, Mr. Ayo, Mr. Hassan is now one of our members. So it is the process of that communication that led to all of this. And one thing you must ask yourself, how come is it that you are doing a reorganization, the entire 800 members of PENGASSAN are the people you are sending home? So that speaks volume. And there are ways to resolve all of this. I must tell you, I too am disappointed with the way it's been handled. The refineries, Dangote, you've invested $20 billion. It's something we should all be proud of. And then $20 billion refinery should also act in consonance with $20 billion worth of best practices. You know, allow the workers to unionize, let them be. And then I know Nigerians are upset because Nigerians feel that, oh, NNPC refinery has not been working, and what did the union do, or union members are there?
Yes, I was about to ask you that.
Exactly. Exactly. But you don't blame the workers for that. Let me blow your mind. Do you know when I was last the president of PENGASSAN? I was president of PENGASSAN. I left as president of PENGASSAN in 2008. That's 17 years ago. And I signed that the refinery should be privatized. The president before me signed that the refinery should be privatized. Since I left, we've had 4 presidents. And all of those presidents have said, privatize the refinery. So if government is not doing what they're supposed to do, are you to blame the workers? Now, not this administration. The last administration went to borrow over $2 billion to renovate.
From AFDB.
Exactly. What do you do that for? So how do you now come and blame?
And we heard that the Port Harcourt refinery was already coming on stream at that point. We heard the Warri refinery was already coming on stream at that time. But to what level, what capacity?
But again, you also blame the media for that. The media is not supposed to hear. The media is supposed to investigate. If you listen to a politician or you listen to anybody holding an office, the responsibility of the media is to hold them accountable. The GMG of NNPC is it will come and meet you and tell you that everything is fine. But it's the responsibility of the media to say, no, GMD, you are lying. You spent $2 billion trying to renovate the refineries and nothing has come out of it. The unions are not happy. I'm not happy. I'm a Nigerian. I don't subscribe to the fact that we go ahead and borrow such an amount of money for refineries that is not functional. The workers are not happy. I'm not also happy that you pay workers for not doing any job. No, workers are not happy to collect salary for nothing. But we must know that these are engineers, these are trained. They are not roadside guys. No, these are trained, they want to do their job. So if nothing is happening, you don't have to blame the union workers. But one thing I can guarantee you is that when you are a member of PENGASSAN, you will have a better welfare package to work with. And that is why you see that everybody comes and they want to be part of PENGASSAN. PENGASSAN will guarantee you, make sure that you work in the most fair environment that is safe for you to work with better welfare. You can't have a Nigerian engineer, you've been trained overseas, and then you are coming to work for a company and your salary is not up to 200, 250,000. What are you doing in oil and gas? That's what PENGASSAN guarantees. So for me, I think that Dangote Refinery or Dangote Industries can sit down with PENGASSAN and look at all of this. Okay, fine, I have a $20 billion loan, and this is what are my plans. Oh, if you say, okay, the cost of labor is going to increase, PENGASSAN comes in, yes. I'll be very frank with you. PENGASSAN comes in, the cost of labor will increase. because PENGASSAN is going to look at the welfare, the security, the insurance, a lot of things PENGASSAN is going to look at. I'm proud to be a member of PENGASSAN, and I'm proud for what PENGASSAN also did for the company that I work for. So PENGASSAN have mechanisms in place for wherever they go. But are they going to now tell Dangote that you have to cripple the refinery? PENGASSAN won't do that. But I think there is a middle part that both PENGASSAN and Dangote must follow, and the government have to ensure that our laws are respected. Dangote has the right under the Nigerian law to set up his business and run his business. And under the Nigerian law, anybody working in oil and gas that has intimated interest to unionize, the person must be allowed the right to also join any union of his choice within that industry.
The impact on the masses is something that is it for me. One is already we're seeing queues. We're already seeing queues because I'm sure even there'll be panic buying in some cases. Everyone wants to fill their tanks and all of that. Now, this is in a two-way. The tanker drivers still have their own ground with Dangote, talking about the deployment of the trucks. That's on one side. Now cutting off supply, you know, that's also another one. What do you also make of this impact on us as the masses? Because we even see we're expecting reduction in price moving forward.
Yes, that's also why government comes in. It's the responsibility of government to protect the welfare of the people. So the government has to now come in, and that's what the government is doing. Yesterday, the feedback that I got from the meeting was that it was stalled. So if government is coming in and looking at it, I would just tell government, go by the law. You see, when you do things by the law, you don't need to explain anything. The law is very clear. Dangote as an entity should exist. And I'm proud of that. And then PENGASSAN members who have, Nigerians who work for Dangote, who have an interest to join the union, should also be allowed to join the union. So once we go by that law, and then there's nothing to worry about. Oh, Dangote is saying, from the report I got from the meeting yesterday, Dangote is saying he's afraid of sabotage, he's afraid of... Now, I heard a committee is going to be set up to look at Dangote's fears. But all of those fears, how come the fears is affecting only those who are members of PENGASSAN? No, it's like somebody says, you cry in the night and the following morning a child is dead. Must you ask who killed the child? So these are the things we need to ask ourselves. And Dangote have invested so much in training the people that he's firing. So some of them are also people that they have invested in firing. So we need to look at all of this. I don't think there's anything Dangote should worry about. I'm speaking for PENGASSAN. So I have an idea of how PENGASSAN operates. The role or what PENGASSAN stands for is that the company must exist for the union to survive. And then the union must survive for the productivity of the company to be enhanced. So it's a symbiotic and mutually beneficial relationship. So if you stick to that principle, I don't think we should be going back and forth over this. And I think that both parties should look at the interest, in the national interest, and come to the table and respect that law. Your right to run your business and the right to unionize. That's the only way. If we are going back and forth wanting to, I don't want anybody to please PENGASSAN. So
what about the issue of check-up deals really, truly? Many have said that the unions most times, that it's always about the check-up deals, that they want to get monies from all of, that's the reason why they want more members to come into their association. That's
the most ridiculous statement I've ever heard. Because first thing first, ask yourself, I'm telling you now,
yes.
I joined PENGASSAN in 1999. I put my pen on paper and I wrote to PENGASSAN Secretariat. And I said, yes, to apply to be a member. And PENGASSAN will tell you, this is X percentage of your salary that you pay. It is by law. Your check-up dues is what you use in running it. PENGASSAN president is in Abuja right now, having that meeting. He's going to stay in a hotel. The general secretary is there. They are going to stay in a hotel. It is the check-up dues that we pay that runs that. And what is PENGASSAN's obligation to me? As a PENGASSAN member, immediately I joined PENGASSAN. 2 years later, I was building my house. So PENGASSAN comes in there and look at your condition of service. So PENGASSAN is actually rendering service. So you are paying to ensure that that is run. It's more like your tax. So your check-up dues is your tax that you pay to PENGASSAN for PENGASSAN to fund and to make your life better by improving your welfare. I'm talking to you now, not because I don't want anything to happen to PENGASSAN, because I know that PENGASSAN is also doing what is right. Dangote, even before now, we are having, I call them latter day scent of Dangote refinery, where you have everybody coming out talking about. In the last 3-4 years, even when I was TVC president, before I left, I was also an arrowhead, always talking about the need for Dangote refinery to be allowed to exist, the need for government to give whatever waiver that is required for that refinery to exist. I was doing that because the union gave me the platform to do that. And we will not sit down and watch the union face what I call existential threat. What is happening now is an existential threat to the union. Nigerians may be complaining, but ask Nigerians, if any other company, let's say Total, Exxon, or Chevron, fired 800 Nigerians without any explanation, I will tell you that if it's Total, we may be having, the president may be calling on the ambassador of Total. So we cannot say because Dangote is ours and we allow arbitrariness. No. What is fair is fair. And that is what is in our national anthem. To live in a country where no one will be oppressed.
All right, we have some